is a professional certification training on health, safety and environment, provided by the University of Nigeria, Shell, Center for Environmental Management and Control, CMAC. It is produced and presented by Prime Business School. The topic of this session is, Overview of HSE. You need 10 minutes only to complete this first session and get an overview of the entire certification training. To understand this session, you don't need knowledge from any previous class. Just pay attention. At the end of this program you will receive a certificate from UNN Shell Center for Environmental Management and Control. The knowledge and certificate you get makes you a very valuable person in the workplace. Wonderful companies will desire to employ you and your current organization will value you and greatly reward you with job security and promotions. It will also help you develop a career as a valuable consultant. Session objectives. At the end of this session, you should be able to 1. Define hazard in the workplace. 2. Mention the items that introduce hazards to the workplace. 3. List the steps for assessing risk at the workplace. 4. Identify the people that should be considered in the workplace. What is a hazard in the workplace? A hazard in the workplace is anything that has the potential to cause harm or injury to a person. Hazards can take the form of work equipment, such as machines; work material, such as chemicals; work environment, such as a slippery floor, etc. What introduces new hazards to your workplace? After controlling the hazards in your workplace, new hazards may be introduced by the following items. 1. New equipment. 2. New substances. 3. New procedures, or processes. 4. New environments. Therefore there is need to review your risk assessment regularly. Who should we consider in the workplace? The first group to consider is the workers. Of course this is obvious. However, what may not be obvious is that the needs of each worker may be different. We have a mix of workers who have different experiences and needs. For example, new workers who lack experience, expectant mothers, people with disabilities. The peculiar needs of these people affect their exposure to hazards. It is important that we understand these differences and develop the right plan to assist such workers to minimize the risk of hazards. The next group is non-workers in the premises. These people may include guests, vendors, visitors. They may be at harm because of the activities at the workplace. The third group is our neighbors. These include other organizations and residents that share our premises or neighborhood. It is important that we consider the impact we make on our neighbors. It is also important that our neighbors share our values and maintain healthy and safe environments. Remember the divine mandate to love our neighbors as ourselves and to be our brother's keeper. This is certainly an opportunity to practice that mandate. The fourth group is the community around us. This group may include the immediate host community where our organization resides, the extended community of people that may not be near our location, the general public who may just be passing by. Remember the proverb that says you should not throw stones into the marketplace because you don't know whose head the stone will fall on in the market. The stone may fall on your parents, children and siblings in the market. Similarly, it is in our interest to protect our community by eliminating hazards that may harm the community. Examples of hazards that impact the public include oil spills, gas explosions, oil tanker explosions, contamination of the waterways from chemical and toxic deposits, disposal of medical wastes, outbreak of fire in chemical companies, etc. Now let us look briefly at risk assessment. Many organizations already have in place measures to protect their workers from work-related accidents and injuries. But by conducting risk assessment, you can check if you are doing enough to reduce the risk of work-related accidents. The best place to start is by having a discussion with your workers about the hazards at the workplace. Workers often have good ideas formed from experience of their working with the processes that may lead to an industrial accident. When you meet with your workers, manage the discussion by asking 7 key questions. Next, we are going to look at the 7 key questions for risk assessment. Question 1. What are the hazards at work? A hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm or injury. There are 6 categories of workplace hazards. They are: 1. Safety hazards. 2. Physical hazards. 3. Chemical hazards. 4. Biological hazards. 5. Work organization hazards. 6. Body strain hazards, also called ergonomic hazards. I'm sure your ears are itching to know the details of each of these categories. My friend, just scratch your itching ear and be patient. We will discuss the details in another module where we take time to explain them in details. For now, let us remain focused on the 7 questions. Question 2. What is the degree of each hazard? What is the likelihood or chance of harm from that hazard? Is the intensity of the harm high or low? Question 3. What is the impact of each hazard if it occurs? Who will be affected? How will it harm people? How will it harm the environment? Question 4. What measures have we already adopted to control the hazard? Question 5. What best practices from within or outside our industry can we copy and improve upon? Question 6. What benchmarks should we follow? Benchmarking is comparing yourself to others. It is the key to excellence, especially in fields where you may lack core competence. Question 7. Do we keep records of hazardous events that occur in our workplace and how we handled them? Record keeping is important in controlling risks. Records help you to learn from your mistakes and develop better plans for the future. The answers to these 7 questions will help you prepare a risk assessment report that will identify hazards that need to be managed and your action plan for managing the hazards. To summarize, in this session we covered the following issues. First, we defined hazard in the workplace and gave a few examples. Second, we identified the sources of hazards in the workplace. Third, we looked at the different groups of people that should be considered when planning for health, safety, and environment. Finally, we discussed the steps for assessing risk at the workplace. To complete this session, you need to take the following 2 steps. 1. Go to the discussion board and post 2 original comments. Each comment should explain an issue from the presentation that made a strong impression on you. Also, while on the discussion board, respond to 2 original posts of other course participants. 2. The second step is to take the quiz for this session. The quiz will help to evaluate how well you understood this session. Thank you for taking this session. I hope to see you in the class soon.